Pennsylvania became the 28th state to pass the Crown Act, which prohibits discrimination based on hair textures and hairstyles associated with race, ensuring protection for individuals in employment and educational settings. Now, while many celebrated when Governor Josh Shapiro signed the bill, conservative talk radio show host Kathy Barnett posted this on social media. Quote, "Black people like these people make it difficult for black people like me. When white people see me, they think they're talking to these black people here. So instead of talking to me about CapEx investments, infrastructure, real estate opportunities, they try talking to me about hair racism. You people are stupid. Focusing on my black hair does not lower my cost of living as a black person or any color person. Focusing on my black hair does not reduce property taxes. Focusing on my black hair does not lower my energy bill. Focusing on my black hair does not improve the innumerable potholes that make driving in Pennsylvania an obstacle course. Focusing on my black hair doesn't lower the cost of college for my children. These white people are laughing at you. If black people weren't so doggone emotional over strategic, we would see how embarrassing this is. The whole world is tired of these faux problems, and their children are exceeding while yours, not mine, are getting left behind." So I'm not sure about children are exceeding. I guess whatever that means. So Kathy Barnett, radio host, author of Nothing to Lose, Everything to Gain, Being Black and Conservative in America, joins me now. So Kathy, I'm curious. The things that you laid out there are black people who've actually lost jobs or who didn't get jobs because someone did not like their hair. Are you concerned about them losing their job?
Roland, thank you so much for having me on. Here's the simple fact. There are 99 problems in the black community.
You're not answering my question.
And hair racism is not one.
No, Kathy. Kathy.
And I will answer it. You cannot tell me how to answer the question.
Kathy, I asked a very simple question.
Your question, and I'm answering your question.
Okay.
There are 99 problems in the black community, and hair racism isn't one of them. And let me put this into perspective for you. In 2022, there were exactly 916 people who filed a complaint regarding so-called hair racism in the state of Pennsylvania. 916 out of a state of roughly 13 million people. That means this issue of quote-unquote hair racism does not impact 100% of us. It doesn't even impact 10% of us. It impacts 0.00007% of us. That is a rounding error. That is nothing but optics. It did not change the structure. No structural changes, no economic changes. But let me tell you.
Wait, Kathy, you just said, hold up, Kathy. You just said economic. Hold up, you said economic. And I'm going to ask you again. If an African-American, eminently qualified, applies for a job and is denied a job because someone doesn't like braids or cornrows, does that not negatively impact the economics of that person and their family, yes or no?
I'm sure it does.
Okay.
However,
so Kathy, I'm gonna ask you again. So when a black woman who seeks a job at the Department of Veteran Affairs in Virginia, resume outstanding, does not get the job because of hair discrimination, she then sues, wins. They had to pay her back pay. That costs taxpayers. Do you think that is wrong?
What I think is when Governor Josh Shapiro signed a bill.
That's not what I asked you. Kathy, I'm asking you specific. Kathy, one second. Kathy, I asked you. I'm giving you a specific example of something that actually happened. So are you, Kathy, one second. Kathy, no, that's not what I asked you. Kathy, what I asked you. Kathy, what I asked you. Kathy, as a taxpayer, does it offend you?
No,
Kathy, allow me to finish. Kathy, allow me to finish. Kathy, does it offend you as a taxpayer that you had to spend taxpayer money to pay off a settlement because a white person did not like this black woman's hair when she had the degrees, she had the expertise, she had the knowledge? So I'm simply saying, are you offended that you had to spend money because this white person didn't like her hair but did not look at her qualifications, and she was eminently qualified. Are you not bothered by that?
What I am bothered by, Roland, is the tax dollars that I pay that allows the District of Philadelphia School District to...
Okay, you're not answering my question. See, again, you're not... Kathy, you can't... No, hold on. No, Kathy, you are more than happy.
Long enough to know
Kathy,
that these are not black and white issues.
Kathy.
The District of Philadelphia...
Kathy, whoa, no, Kathy. This is my show. Kathy, this is my show. You are more than... Kathy, Kathy, no. I asked you a specific question about an EEO. No, Kathy. I asked you a specific question about an EEOC, Kathy, listen. I asked you a specific question about an EEOC case out of Virginia, and you're bringing up the city of Philadelphia and schools.
I will answer the question.
Those two don't go together.
I will answer the question.
Thank you.
You asked, what am I offended about?
No, I did not. No, I did not.
You asked what
you're wrong.
I'm offended about, and I'm telling
you. No,
you're
wrong.
About.
No, that's not what I asked you, Kathy. That's not what I asked you.
School district.
Kathy, that's not what I asked you.
Ranked 400.
Kathy, that's not what I asked you.
Out of 499.
Kathy, that's not what I asked you. No, what I asked you, Kathy, listening is a skill set.
Racism is not one.
Kathy, listening is a skill set. And when I specifically asked you, does it offend you? Well, Kathy, I asked you a specific question.
Better, Roland.
I asked
you should be ashamed of yourself.
No, you should be.
Around
Kathy,
long enough to know
Kathy, you should be ashamed.
Racism
really?
Is not. Look.
Hold up, Kathy.
4 million black people.
Kathy.
Look, you care about black people, right? So allow me to say this. There are 1.4 million black people in the state of Pennsylvania. Hair racism affects 916 of them. What about the other 1.3 million of us who are sending our children to failing schools? The District of Pennsylvania, it ranks at 454th out of 499. That is what I care about.
Kathy, it's very interesting. Kathy, it's very interesting. You said, Kathy, these black legislators aren't doing their jobs. I'm very curious because I actually said
black legislators.
You said these. You said these people. So do you agree, or maybe you don't? Do you have an issue with when the black legislators secured $150 million in grants for black-owned businesses? Do you believe that was a good thing? Because they actually did that.
I think that's a good thing.
Great. Okay, great. No, I'm good. I'm good. Let me ask you a question. Do you agree? Kathy, let me ask you agree.
Yes.
Kathy, do you agree that the $300 million that they obtained for anti-violence programs in our communities, that's a good thing?
I don't know. I don't know what is actually being spent on.
Well, according to the data, Kathy, according to the data, it resulted in a 40% reduction in violent crime in Philadelphia.
I don't know, because in the state of Pennsylvania, because I live here, we have over 100,000 violent crimes every single year.
Got it.
We also have fentanil is exploding on our streets because Democrats open up our borders,
got it.
flooded it illegal.
I'm curious. I'm curious, Kathy, I'm curious.
Did you know that?
Kathy, I'm curious. Does Pennsylvania, Kathy, I've seen a map. Does Pennsylvania share a border with Mexico?
Oh my goodness, Roland, you are not, you know what? Your premise.
No. You literally just said, you literally talked about fentanyl coming across the border. You said into our state. Where is it coming from? Kathy, where's the fentanyl? Kathy, where's the
and buses and sent them into our community?
Oh, gotcha.
Don't act stupid.
Kathy, I'm gonna ask you this here. Kathy, I'm gonna ask you this here. Are you also, do you give the black legislators credit for securing?
And why do you keep saying black legislators? Because it's not just black legislators.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Please pull up Kathy's tweet. Pull up please pull up Kathy's tweet. Please pull up Kathy's tweet. Please pull up Kathy's tweet. Kathy,
are not
Kathy, in your tweet. Kathy, in your tweet.
Back there grinning.
Kathy, in your tweet. Kathy, in your tweet.
Yes.
Kathy, in your tweet, this is what you said. It's right here. You said black people like these people make it difficult for black people like me. So you clearly were talking only about the black people in the video, not anybody else.
I was talking about, and then I also threw in there the white people who are like.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You said, Kathy, 1 second. Kathy, that's a nice try, Kathy.
Stop it, Roland.
Kathy, you said, quote, Kathy, hold up, Kathy. I'm reading your tweet. You said, quote, you said, when white people see me,
is a skill set.
Kathy, you said, when white people see me, they think they're talking to these black people here.
You know what? You can believe whatever you want to believe.
Kathy, I'm reading your tweet.
My tweet is real clear. Black people like you, Roland, who major in racism and victimology.
I'm literally looking at your tweet. You made no mention of anybody white in the photo.
Shapiro gave himself $4 million.
That's hilarious.
To do video TikToks and gave us political trinkets.
Malcolm Kenyatta.
Impact the overwhelming majority.
Malcolm Kenyatta, let me ask you a question. Malcolm Kenyatta, let me ask you a question.
Give me the $4 million.
Malcolm Kenyatta, you are a state representative in Pennsylvania. Yeah. And you were there in the state capitol. You were there advocating, fighting for things. So when you hear someone say, again, I read her tweet, and it's all targeting black people. There was no mention of anybody white. When you hear someone say that, oh, these black people, they are focused on hair racism and nothing else, and she lists all these things, Malcolm, surely y'all are focused on infrastructure. You're focusing on investments. You're focusing on education and housing. So Malcolm, go ahead and give us a sense, Malcolm, of the things that you and other black legislators are working on that Kathy talked about.
Well, let me first say I'm happy to have been a co-sponsor of that legislation, and I am damn proud of Adjoa, who has led this charge across the country, and of Representative Mays and Speaker McClinton, who championed this legislation and got it over the finish line. And that legislation is a part of a whole host of things that we got done this year. That bill, which was passed in bipartisan fashion, is a part of a whole series of bipartisan wins that we got for the great people of Pennsylvania. It included a working families tax credit, which is going to put hundreds of dollars back into the pockets of middle class and working class families that are seeing all of their expenses go through the roof because of the policies of Donald Trump. I know that fentanyl was mentioned, and the issue of fentanyl and substance abuse disorder is something that I know matters to many of us, and I'm sure it matters in a genuine way to the previous speaker. But what I would say is we have Donald Trump, who just last week pardoned one of the world's worst drug dealers who was pushing many of those same drugs into our communities. And we have been at the state level trying to do everything we can to address it. And so what does that look like? It's looked like a renewed investment into behavioral health programs, a renewed investment into drug treatment programs. It has looked like the over $400,000, I believe, that we're at this point in terms of gun violence prevention grants. What it has looked like is investing in education. We've invested in our school districts just in the last two budgets, nearly $1 billion, the single largest investment into K through 12 education in Pennsylvania history. And believe it or not, we've done all of these things while getting Democrats and Republicans to come together. What I have learned is that we do not have to continue to sort of leave who we are at the door. It was mentioned that 900 or so people in Pennsylvania filed a complaint. Well, you know what? There are thousands of other people who didn't file a complaint. And I think one person who is discriminated against simply for existing is one too many. And we can do multiple things at once. We can pass a bill that says you can't discriminate to people based on how their hair grows out of their heads. We can also pass investments for people to start and open small businesses. We can also do the things that I mentioned on education, on tax credits, and on a variety of other things. And so this idea that we can only do one or the other isn't an idea that makes much sense to me. And I've also said that, continuing to put us in a position where we are saying to folks that it's okay if we treat this person or that person differently because it's only this percentage of people, that's wrong. That's not what my faith teaches me. My faith teaches me to care about the least of these, and that's what the priorities of this House majority has been.
Kathy, why you sign off, Kathy? Kathy, I wanted to give you an opportunity to even ask the representative a question or respond to all the things he just talked about. But it looks like Kathy logged off. I guess it was too much. We say bring the funk. I guess it was way too much funk on the show, and she couldn't handle it, or she couldn't just handle all the facts that were laid out. And again, I really would have wanted Kathy to respond to what you just laid out about all those things that were actually in the bill beyond the hair discrimination. I would have loved to hear. State Senator Vincent Hughes sent me a text, and he said black legislators were the leaders in education fair funding fight, which has driven in 3 years about $2 billion of new money to historically underfunded school districts, largely African American. I would have loved for Kathy to actually respond to that. And so if you're going to sit here and again put the tweet up and say, this is why I did this. See, Malcolm, if you're going to sit here and trash black legislators and then try to come on my show and lie and say, oh, I didn't just talk about them, I was talking about the white ones too, when I know how to read. I used to read 300 books a summer. Black people like these people make it difficult for black people like me. When white people see me, they think they're talking to these black people here. So instead of talking to me about CapEx investments, infrastructure, real estate opportunities, they try talking to me about hair racism. You people are stupid. Focusing on my black hair does not lower my cost of living as a black person or any color person. Her whole tweet, she was trashing black legislators. But now you want to come on and say, oh, no, I was talking about Josh Shapiro spending some money on TikTok. No, baby, we know how to read. That's what you said. But I guess it was too much funk in the funk house, so Kathy signed off.
Roland, I'll say one more thing just very quickly. What makes life difficult for black people like Kathy, for me, is not calling out racism, discrimination. It's the discrimination. And so what makes life difficult is that there are people who believe that who they are, the way their hair grows, the way that they live, the way that they look should be the standard, and anyone who deviates from that is somehow inferior or incapable of doing the things that people need to do in the job that they apply for as neighbors, as community members, as community leaders. So calling out discrimination is not the problem. Trying to end discrimination is not the problem. The discrimination is the problem. And it is unfortunate that there are far too many people, like Mrs. Barnes, who refuse to see that. But, as they say in the South, bless her heart.
And look, has she ever invited you on her show?
No, but I'd be happy to go. Kathy and I both ran for U.S. Senate at the same time.
Oh, Kathy!
I remember seeing.
Kathy, you back?
People talking about both of our hairs, by the way.
Oh, Kathy, you back? Kathy,
okay.
Now hold up. Did Kathy come back? Y'all logging her in? Okay. Because I mean, I would literally love, since Kathy cares so much about Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, and she's questioning all these things that black legislators are not talking about. And since Kathy mentioned infrastructure, Malcolm, I'm sure you've got some thoughts on what y'all have been doing about infrastructure in Pennsylvania. And so y'all let me know when we got Kathy back. So since you've never been on Kathy's show, well then Kathy can go ahead and ask you a question on my show, because, you know, since we all here together. So since we're waiting on her, just go ahead. Well, what have y'all black folks been doing about infrastructure in Pennsylvania?
Well, one of the most important areas of infrastructure that we all know is transportation infrastructure. And we have been trying for a long time, and by a long time, I am talking about over 7 years, to get a bipartisan agreement that would invest in Pennsylvania's aging transit, not just SEPTA, which is in Philadelphia in the Southeast, but all across the Commonwealth. I actually walked 105 miles from my house in North Philly to the state capitol in Harrisburg to talk about this issue. And I had conversations during that walk on Facebook Live with people all across the Commonwealth, particularly people in our most rural communities who are bearing the brunt of our refusal to make sustained, significant, and long past due investments in our transit infrastructure. In fact, in Lancaster, just as one example, the transit agency there, because there was not a full bipartisan agreement. We passed the bipartisan agreement in the House, by the way, but it was not passed in the Senate. Lancaster is going to have to dramatically reduce some of their service, and some of their riders are going to feel the brunt of that in terms of their ability to get to their jobs, to spend time with their family members, to go to the doctor, and all the other things that transit gives people the opportunity to do. So transportation infrastructure is just one example, but we can also look at the roads and bridges, just under 3,000 of them across Pennsylvania, that are structurally in need of significant repair. And this House and Senate and governor has been working to deal with some of those repair issues as well. And if you look in the budget that we just passed, there were significant dollars to continue to build up our roads and bridges and to deal with some of those that have been structurally unsound, as I just referenced. So this is not an either or.
Right.
And it's, it's just one of those things where we keep making it either or, and it's not. We vote on a variety of different bills in a day. And so people cherry pick one thing and say, oh, this is all we're doing. No, we're doing a lot of stuff.
So apparently Kathy logged back in to listen, but we waiting for her to turn the camera on. Because again, okay, so my producer's Carol's on the phone with her. Again, I would love, since she said, again, should she criticize black legislators, I would love for her to ask a black legislator in Pennsylvania who's sitting right here, since she cares about CapEx and infrastructure and real estate opportunities. You've never been on her show. So if she says y'all ain't doing it, here's the perfect opportunity to say, okay, Representative Kenyatta, are you working on this? So, Kathy, come on back. So I'll wait for you, but I'm going to go ahead and ask Malcolm another question. Matter of fact, Mustafa, you got a question for Malcolm while we waiting on Kathy?
Yeah, Mustafa, good to see you, brother.
Yeah, Malcolm, I was going to say it's wonderful to see you. Thank you for everything that you continue to do for our communities. You know, as we move toward 2026, which is not that far away now, what are some of the things that you would ask folks in the great state of Pennsylvania to actually focus on and highlighting, of course, self, but other folks who are working on those issues?
Well, Mustafa, thank you, brother, and thank you for everything that you do. Let me say this simply, and I say this often, but the purpose of politics is to make people's lives better. You know, it is our imperfect, flawed in so many ways, system by which we negotiate how to live together. And I actually believe that we can get to a point where politics is just not a constant source of gastrointestinal discomfort, but actually we're moving the needle on some of the persistent challenges that we know have existed and continue to exist. And 2026 is going to be a conversation, and in fact, a referendum on an administration enabled by the weakless the weakest and most feckless members of Congress this country has ever seen, who has put him in a position where he has used the mechanics of government to make people's lives worse. The average cost of groceries for a family of four under this administration have gone up, not down. The cost for a tank of gas under this administration has gone up, not down. The applications for people opening small businesses under this administration has also gone down, not gone up. And so when we look at what is happening right now, the slide that we're seeing on all of the quality of life areas that people care about, the ability to feed their kids, to have a job that provides for them economically, to save a little bit and maybe be lucky enough to go on a vacation, those things are getting further out of reach. And so I say to folks, I'm not going to give Donald Trump and Republicans the credit that people often try to ask us to give. I'm not in politics because I'm thinking about him. When I got involved in politics, he was not a part of the equation, but he is in the way right now of us making people's lives better. And in fact, his administration spends every single day making people's lives miserable and worse. Right. While his family gets, a lot wealthier along the way.
So Kathy's back. So Kathy, I'm curious. Okay. Have you ever had Representative Kenyatta on your show?
I have not.
Okay, so guess what? You're here. He's here. What question do you have for Representative Kenyatta since you said these black legislators aren't doing this other stuff? What you got for him?
Yes. Representative Kenyatta, can you hear me?
Yep, he got you.
I can, Kathy.
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, listen, first of all, it's nice to meet you, and I would absolutely love to have you on the show if you would like to come on. I would love that, to have a conversation. Again, my focus is not on nebulous issues, but on the 454th place of Philadelphia School District. Why? Instead of putting a big, beautiful spotlight on the failing reading and math proficiency scores of our Black children in Philadelphia School District, why are we not focused on that? Instead, focused on things such as a nebulous issue, such as the Crown Act.
Well, let me say this. First of all, I'm glad that you came back and happy to talk to you.
Well, I got booted off.
No young person. No. Okay, no, not a problem. But I'm happy you're here, nevertheless.
Okay.
But none of our young people and no person in Pennsylvania should have to be treated differently for the way that their hair grows out of their heads. If you agree with me on that simple proposition, then you will agree that what we did was the right thing. And we weren't passing the Crown Act in contrast or in spite of addressing the other issues that matter. We're dealing with these issues in tandem because we can walk and chew gum at the same time. As it relates to our young people, we need to be very clear. None of our kids are failures. And when we talk about the statistics that you talk about with reading, math, science, whichever statistics you want to use, with those reflect our kids. And we need to be all committed to doing everything we can to change outcomes for them. And that's what this caucus has been committed to do. Let me tell you what we have done. As was just mentioned, let me just finish.
Hold on. He's going to finish. I'm going to let you ask a follow-up. He's going to finish. I'm going to let you ask a follow-up. Malcolm, continue.
We mentioned this before, so I won't tarry on the point because we mentioned it before, but I don't know whether you heard it, Kathy, so I just want to highlight it. We have just, over the last two budgets, invested just under $1 billion into our kids just in Philadelphia School District alone. Why did we do that? Because for decades, Philadelphia schools were not adequately funded. That is my belief, but it's not just Malcolm Kenyatta's belief. The Commonwealth Court and actually a pretty conservative judge looked at this issue, looked at this case about school funding that was brought by parents in Philadelphia who were worried that their kids were not getting the same quality of education as other students across Pennsylvania. That case took years and years and years, and what the Commonwealth Court ultimately said was that Pennsylvania was not doing what we are required to do by our Constitution, which is to provide an equitable education, a thorough and efficient education. We weren't doing that. And so we are now doing what should have been done decades ago to invest in our schools, and we're going to continue to do that.
Yes, thank you. Let me ask you, because you mentioned something that I say quite often, that we need to learn how to walk and chew gum. But the reality is we're not walking and chewing gum at the exact same time. So for example, in doing a compare and contrast of the Crown Act, it affected, if you're looking at the numbers, 916 people. There are 1.4 million Black people in the state of Pennsylvania. But we put a lot of energy and a lot of effort and a lot of time to pass a bill that's essentially a rounding error on the number of people that it impacts. And then we run around screaming, look, we did it. What did we actually do? And so again, I would love to be able to walk and chew gum. Let's pass the Crown Act and let's do something for our children. But the reality is we're not focused on the things that actually make real improvements. So for example, in Philadelphia, the largest district in the state, only about 1 in 5 kids are on grade level in math and about 1 in 3 in reading. And the district ranks 454th out of 499 on math proficiency. This is not something that just happened yesterday. This has been for the last 15 years, and it's only sliding backwards. It's not improving. So allow me to ask you, will you support school choice?
Hold on one second. Hold on one second.
Children and their money and put their children in schools that will succeed.
Hold on one second. Before he answers that, because I believe in fact checking. You talked about how we got to walk and chew gum at the same time. And you basically said by passing the Crown Act, we're not doing both. Well, I just pulled this up. And the question was, how many bills were passed in 2025 by the Pennsylvania legislature? No, because you said walk and chew gum. It says, hold on, wait. It says right here, budget measures, healthcare expansions, PTSD coverage, modernization of CPA exam rules, ongoing discussions around cannabis legalization, tax relief for homeowners, part of the new budget, key areas of focus, maternal health, first responders. It walks through a number of things. And so what I don't understand is when you act like there were no other bills passed this year but the Crown Act, when Representative Kenyatta is sitting right here. I think he can attest as a sitting lawmaker that they did a little bit more in 2025 beyond passing the Crown Act. Correct, Representative Kenyatta?
Roland.
Hold on one second. Hold on, Kathy. I want him to answer the question.
He's going to answer my question?
No. Okay, Kathy.
No, Kathy, I hear you.
No, Kathy, I want to help you.
Thank you.
First of all, Kathy, he's going to answer your question, but pump your brakes because you're talking to the co-founder of School Choice is the Black Choice. So he going to answer your question, but he going to still address that they have been walking and chewing gum at the same time. Representative Kenyatta, go ahead.
So you're absolutely right. This is one bill and a whole host of legislation that we have been able to pass in a bipartisan way. And why do I keep saying that? It's not to say that we don't have serious disagreements across the aisle, as we usually say. But what this House leadership has been able to do under the leadership of Speaker Joanna McClinton is to find ways to get to yes and to find ways for us to advance a whole host of issues, the Crown Act being one of them. You said a number of things, many of which were actually not factually accurate. So I just want to push back on some of those, and I'm not sure where you're getting these numbers from. It's not correct. Let me just finish because you're not sure what statistics I'm talking about yet. But let me give them to you. It is not correct to suggest that only 1 in 5 of our young people is proficient in. I'm not sure if you said reading or math. That's not correct. And actually, under Superintendent Watlington, we have actually seen some of the most pronounced improvements in terms of reading and math proficiency. And when you look at that data, you cannot have a conversation about reading and math proficiency without talking about the real impact that the COVID pandemic had in terms of learning loss for our young people. And we've seen marked improvement in our young people as it relates to reading proficiency, math proficiency, and I'm proud of those young people, and I'm proud of our educators, and I'm proud of the school district, which continues to work on these issues, because you're absolutely right. There is nothing, in my view, that's more important than giving all of our kids the opportunity to start their lives, to open that small business. I used to work at the Chamber of Commerce of Greater Philadelphia, where I supported small business owners every single day when I worked there prior to coming to the legislature. That's not really possible if you don't get a high quality education. So there is no debate or disagreement from us on ensuring that all of our kids get a high quality education. What I disagree on, the premise of your question, is this idea that us passing the Crown Act means that we have somehow forgotten about the need to invest in all of our kids and in all of our schools. I'm going to continue to do that. I've been a strong supporter of investing in our public schools. I'm going to continue to be a strong supporter of investing in our public schools. But I want to be clear, in the 181st District, we have parochial schools, we have public charters, we have traditional brick and mortar public schools, we have all of the different sort of educational choices that you reference that a young person could want. And what I want to see is that every single place a young person is, that it has multiple things, that it has educators that give a damn about them, that it has caring adults who are taking care of them and caring about the whole child, and that we are ensuring that those educators have all the resources they need to prepare that young person for the job in the future that they deserve. And that's what we're going to keep focusing on. And I think that focus is reflected in the budget that I voted for and that we passed.
Kathy, before you respond again, I just want to show this fact here. So peredchoice.org in Pennsylvania, there are their educational improvement tax credit program. Go to my iPad. Opportunity scholarship tax credit program. They have public school choice, charter school choice, homeschool choice. So what are you saying that's missing that you want to have take place?
Yes. Thank you so much, Roland, and thank you also, Kenyatta. I appreciate you speaking or responding. But my question was, do you support school choice? School choice in that, and Kenyatta will understand exactly what I mean, that a child's tax dollars, that tax dollars travel with the child, allowing the parent who is in a particular zip code that is not faring well for their child, that parent has the ability to take those particular dollars and take their child to a school that is successful and that child can actually do well. And the numbers that I'm looking at, Kenyatta, comes from the latest PSSA. And as you know, it is tracking the performance of our children. And as of right now, in Philadelphia, 1 in 5 kids are on grade level in math and about 1 in 3 in reading. And again, the district ranks 454th out of 499.
Are those stats related to the public school district?
Yes.
Okay. 1 second. I got it. So please share with me, what are the charter school numbers?
I don't know.
Okay, so right there's a problem. Because
no, that's not
no, hold up. Let me again, allow me, hold up again. I don't think you know who you're talking to. I don't think you know who you're talking to.
Please inform me.
Because I have been in Philadelphia holding town halls on school choice.
And I live in Philadelphia.
No, I'm trying to tell you, I've been in Philly. I've been in New York. I've been in Montgomery, in Birmingham, in Atlanta, Sacramento, Houston, Tulsa, across the country. Now, as somebody who's a supporter of school choice, I do not believe that school choice is the panacea. There are some fundamental issues that we have to confront in charter schools. We have to confront the issue of when you say, well, the tax dollars follow, is the transportation there as well? That's one. The other issue for me is what charter school? Also, are those charter schools, what type of curriculum are they there? What is the oversight? Because part of the problem in Ohio charter schools, they have limited oversight. In Texas, you got finite years to improve or your school gets shut down. So when we say these are the reading rates of the public school system, I still want to know what are the reading rates of the charter school, because I know some trash ass charter school. And let me be real clear. Let me be real clear. I'm going to let you talk. Let me be real clear. If their public schools ain't doing their job, then change it. If their charter schools ain't doing their job, they gotta go. If you got parochial schools ain't doing their job, they gotta go. But what I'm not gonna do is create this impression that charters are the be-all to end-all when I know for a fact we got some raggedy-ass charters. Now you can talk.
Right, and I never said charter, Roland. That was something, like, that was the straw man.
No. You said school choice. Okay, I want you to define school choice. Give me what's under your banner of school choice.
Homeschool. I homeschooled both of my.
Okay, got it. Homeschool. What else?
As well as private schools, Catholic schools. There are a number of opportunities.
Okay, so here's the question. Hold on, Carol. Oh, I gotta ask you a question. So you want public dollars. If a person want to put their person in private school, here's my question. Are the private schools, are they creating additional seats?
Yes, because it's called capitalism. But here's the
No, they're not. Oh, no, they're not.
The overwhelming majority.
No, you're wrong.
The overwhelming majority of Black students who are in the Philadelphia school district, they are trapped in that school district. And as someone who grew up on a pig farm in southern Alabama, below the bottom rung of the economic ladder, I grew up in a home with no insulation.
Kathy, I get all that.
An outhouse and a well on the side. I understand that the thing that allowed me to create a different life for myself is education.
Kathy, let me ask you a question. Kathy, I'm going to ask you a basic question.
Oh my God.
Kathy, I'm going to ask you a basic, hold up. Kathy, I want data. No, Kathy, I want data. How many private schools are there in Philadelphia? No, Kathy, I'm going to ask you a basic question. How many private schools are there in Philadelphia?
Representative Kenyatta, how many private?
No. I'm asking you, Kathy. How many private schools are? Kathy, if this your issue, I'm asking you.
What you 1 moment, Roland, you asked me to come on talking about why I feel the way about the Crown Act.
So if you believe, no, wait a minute. Hold up, Kathy. Now you brought up the Crown Act, but then you want to bring up school education in Philly. So how you don't know these facts?
9 problems. And hair racism isn't one.
Hey, Kathy, this is real basic. Kathy, this is real basic. If you were trying to tell Representative Kenyatta you support school choice and you want money to go to private schools, I'm asking you, Kathy, I'm asking you, how many private schools are in Philadelphia? 2, I want to know, hold up, Kathy. 2, I want to know how many available seats are in the private schools. The reason I'm asking you that, because when they were talking about school choice in Texas, you know what they said? We could send our kids to private schools. In the entire state of Texas, there were 30,000 private seats.
So what is
how many kids in the whole state of Texas go to public schools?
Ridden neighborhood.
No.
I mean, instead of focusing on nebulous issues that only impact
Here you go again.
People.
Here you go again.
That's the reason why you brought me on, is
to
understand.
But see, no. You chose to bring up Philly schools, so I am now talking on your topic.
Yes, I love it.
Representative Kenyatta, I'm going to say, Representative Kenyatta, here's the fundamental problem right here. And again, this is somebody who supports school choice. When people who say they support school choice don't want to look at the data, when they want to say, go to private, no, hold up, Kathy, I ain't done. Representative Kenyatta, when they say, go to private schools, well, I ask some simple questions. How many schools exist? How many seats exist? So, Representative Kenyatta, how many kids in Philadelphia public schools?
So let me say this big picture, because a lot has just been said. I want to reiterate what I said in a previous response. I have private schools in my district. I have traditional public schools in my district. We have public charters in my district. I understand, and I hope is a value that's shared by everybody in this conversation, that any school, even if it is homeschool, that a young person is a place that should be safe, is a place that should be well-resourced, and is a place where we need to be preparing our kids to go out and live their lives. A part of the numbers that, constantly get thrown around about the Philadelphia school district are a direct reflection of our refusal to invest in those schools with the same basic measure of funding that we had across the Commonwealth and other school districts. Again, this is not Malcolm's opinion, though it is. This is empirical. It's fact-based. It went through a nearly decade court case that highlighted what that has meant in terms of the lack of ability for our educators to have the resources that they need. In terms of that the lack of funding, resulting in classrooms where you have, 40, 50 kids, in a classroom. I agree with something you said, Roland, this idea that if we defund all of the public schools, which I guess is the end result of this, of what's being said here, that somehow our kids, inherently end up, better, is not backed up by the data. There are charter schools where young people are not performing where we want them to perform. There are public schools where they're not performing where we want to perform. And there are kids who are being homeschooled by parents who do not have the technical expertise to even help them with their homework, let alone be the only person teaching them. And they need support. Yeah. And so there are a variety of different educational institutions. Our budget invested in education across Pennsylvania. And you know what? We invested in young people across Pennsylvania, and we also passed the Crown Act. I was happy to vote for both.
Well, Malcolm, here's why I asked the question. Hold on, Kathy. I got about to say this, and then you can respond, and then this is going to be the last round because I got some other stuff. This is why I asked the question. Now, this is 2022 data, but I just want everybody to understand why. There are 2,941 public schools in Pennsylvania. There are 2,156 private schools in Pennsylvania. But here is the critical number. Pennsylvania's private schools only educate 11.5% of the students in the whole state. Now again, 2,941 public schools, 2,156 private schools. So one of the reasons the private schools have been successful because they have smaller classrooms, different focus. The point that I am making, Kathy, as a school choice supporter, there are not enough seats, and they are not going to open more seats because they want to remain small and inclusive and exclusive. So when we're talking about this notion here, what we have to recognize is that this idea, and you're talking to somebody who is for 8 years has hosted the Friendship Public Charter School Teacher of the Year program in D.C. So I know this whole thing. The problem when we talk about school choice, you have to also look at the data to say how many high-performing charter schools exist, how many mid-performing charter schools exist, and how many low-performing charter schools exist. And so I know this deal. It's not this notion that they're just so great and wonderful. There are some trash-ass charter schools, period, point blank. And I want them out of business. So we have to have a education system that is balanced. We're going to have public, we're going to have private, we're going to have home, we're going to have parochial, we're going to have all of that. But this notion that school choice is the savior, it's not factual. Kathy, make your final comment. Yes. Representative Kenyatta, make the final comment, and then I'm going to a break.
Roland, thank you so much. Listen, bravo to the both of you because you have just proved my point. We have very real large systemic issues that we need to be putting all of our attention on. There's only so much time, so much breath, so much attention span. And bravo to the both of you for making my point. We have very real issues that impact more than 1,000 people.
And we can do a lot. We can do it all at the same time, Kathy.
For the opportunity.
Kathy, we can do it all at the same time.
We could do proving my point.
But we can do it. Kathy, your point wasn't proven because Representative Kenyatta literally laid out a litany of things that they've done.
That needs to be.
And they did all that stuff and the Crown Act. Representative Kenyatta, final comment.
And yet our children.
Representative Kenyatta, final comment.
Well, I'll tell you this, when we vote on the House floor, we press a little button that says yes or no. It took me less than a second to press yes for the Crown Act because I believe fundamentally that no person should be treated differently because of how their hair grows out of their heads. As it relates to education, I think every single one of our kids deserves a high quality education. We need to be investing in our public schools, which we have for decades disinvested in, which have led to those exploding class sizes, educators who don't have the resources and supports that they need, and parents who are on their last leg. This Democratic majority in the House has done that. We've invested in our schools. We've taken on the issues of discrimination. We've put money back in the pockets of Pennsylvanians, and we've done it in many instances in a bipartisan way, including getting bipartisan support for the Crown Act and bipartisan support for the budget. I was happy to vote for both, and I look forward to continuing that work for the 181st District and across Pennsylvania, frankly.
Representative Malcolm Kenyatta, Kathy Burnett, we appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. Win Cooney, I want to go to you. Win Cooney, the point is very simple. We can do more than one thing at one time.
Yeah, we absolutely can, and we have to. I think this was a really energetic and lively debate. But the fact of the matter is that I would never want to be persecuted or prosecuted for the way that I look, the way that my hair looks. And I think that that's Black people's hope all throughout the United States of America. And I know that, State Senator Kenyatta would agree with that. And so while they keep on doing the great work that they're doing in Pennsylvania, we have to be very, very careful of Black people who cause division amongst other Black people. I think it's okay for Black people to think differently as we're not a monolith. But I think what's not okay is saying that one particular mindset or view is dumb just because you don't agree with it. Whether the bill took a minute or, 3 years to pass, I think it's fundamental that students that were being discriminated against and people that are being discriminated against based on their appearance, that's something that has to be quashed out unequivocally. So I think that the Crown Act being passed is something that's amazing, particularly in this time where DEI is being rolled back. We're seeing civil rights being rolled back all throughout the United States of America. This is a win for Pennsylvania and a win for the United States.
And last point here, Mustafa, this reminds me when people say, why are you talking about this on social media? We got more important topics. Hell, I could make 6, 8, 10 posts in a day. So this idea, whenever I hear somebody say, we got more important things to focus on, what that says is you don't want to deal with this one.
Being multi-talented people means that we can do a number of things. But as Black folks, we also understand that there are certain dynamics that we have to deal with that we often have to bring forward and have to address. And the Crown Act, is one of those moments when we get to actually address some injustices that have held us back in various ways. So maybe one of these days, Black folks will learn to come together. We'll learn that we can, we're stronger when we all, kind of join hands and focus on the things that have held us back. And I appreciate Malcolm for the way that he articulates a message, the way that he unpacks it, and the way that he gets things done, and all those others who helped pass the Crown Act, because the Crown Act didn't exist when I was coming up and when folks were telling me that I would never make it to the top if I didn't cut my locks off. So I would never want another young brother or sister to ever have to deal with that, nor should they.
Absolutely. And again, I told y'all, we deal in facts here. So when you say something that ain't factual, you're going to have to deal with it.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.